If you are a big fan of Skyrim and have spent any length of time browsing subreddits discussing how amazing the game is, then there is a very good chance that you have come across the term Skybaby. A Skybaby is essentially someone who has only experienced one game in the Elder Scrolls franchise, and that being Skyrim. Peppered through the conversation, you will see constant comparisons as to how previous games such as Oblivion and Morrowind have mechanics that Skyrim has watered down, key lore moments that are spoken about or referred to in Skyrim that can't be fully appreciated or understood unless you actually play through those events in the previous games. Now, as someone who is not ashamed to say would be considered as a Skybaby, I've always been told that Oblivion is the better game, and even then Morrowind was superior. But here is the problem. Going back and playing the old games from the point of view of someone who has never played them is not as straightforward as it seems. Skyrim came out in 2011, and I think the original vanilla Skyrim maybe just holds up, but newer editions or community mods are definitely the preferred way to play. But going back to Oblivion, which was released in 2006, is a bit of a tall ask. As someone who didn't really have that nostalgia growing up, it just looks dated, rough, janky, and I can't really resonate with the charm that the game has. And as for Morrowind, while I can appreciate that that game would have been a trailblazer for 2002, an incredible open world RPG in 3D nonetheless, there is no way I could sit through that game today. So when Bethesda dropped out of nowhere the Oblivion Remaster, I was absolutely in awe. You see, the Oblivion Remaster is not just an opportunity for old school players to wind back the clock and relive the nostalgia with some updated graphics, but it also gives people like me the chance to finally understand what the old school players were talking about, whilst also experiencing one of the greatest RPGs of that era. We have been seeing a lot of remakes and remasters in the last 10 years, and there is always the discussion of, do we need a remaster? Is there any improved value offering in an updated package, or is this just a cash grab? But Oblivion is one of the most fitting and deserving remasters I can think of in a long time, and I think Bethesda really nailed it in the execution. Yes, the requirements to run this game are pretty demanding, and it still has plenty of bugs, glitches, and can be extremely janky, just like most Bethesda titles. This is by no means fully polished, but somehow I find myself incredibly forgiving because the writing, characters, and world have completely drawn me in. Hearing about the Oblivion Crisis in Skyrim was always interesting, but nothing can compare to actually taking part in that event yourself. I've already been taken by surprise in some of the side quests. Most notably for me in my early sort of hours of playthrough was the arena, which was advertised to me as just fighting a bunch of other challenges in the ring until I'm the last one standing. But even that had a surprising and poignant ending due to my actions in a different quest. And I don't know if the old school players are enjoying watching Skybabies like myself deal with weapon durability or the lockpicking mechanic, but I've enjoyed engaging with those mechanics, and it really has given me a deeper sense of appreciation for the series. And by the way, that lockpicking mechanic, while it took me a little bit of time to work out, it is so much more satisfying than Skyrim. Sure, the absolute purist might enjoy the original Oblivion release and maybe even look down at some of the small quality of life improvements in this remaster. A slightly different leveling system, a sprint button, a dodge mechanic, these all might scream blasphemy. But for the vast majority of players, both returning and newcoming, this is not just a fantastic offering to experience one of the best RPGs by getting you to appreciate what made this series great and build excitement for the future of the series, but it is one of the most justified remasters put out by any publisher in recent memory. And for that, I'm extremely thankful for everyone who had any involvement in developing the original and remaster of The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion.